him. One of the things that's interesting, what is his name? His name is Tim Burchett.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right? You know Tim Burchett?
Oh, yeah, sure. I know.
He comes out a few days ago, and he talks about underwater UFO.
Sure.
Okay? He doesn't seem like a guy or fellow that's a exaggerator that is trying to make up a story or something like that. And, you know, you see him on News Nation saying, yes, you know, I've been hearing about underwater UFOs. Rob, if you got the clip on
the News Nation clip, and then I also am looking for the Tim Burchett clip.
Yeah, if you have a Tim Burchett, that's the one right there. I think, no, that's not the one. No, that's when he's calling Jim Acosta.
Right here,
right
underwaters.
there. Go for it.
What is your message to Trump tonight?
Disclosure. America deserves to know the facts, and I believe we are not alone. I don't know at what point. I think in God's great universe, I don't believe we're the greatest thing he's ever created. I think that's very arrogant on our part. And President Trump has confided that, in fact, he will be releasing some of these, and I plan to have that conversation again with him very soon, and I would like to see that.
What is your message?
Underwater UFOs as big as football fields.
Sure.
Moving 100 miles an hour. He said some number that he gave, right? So
Well,
what do you know? What do we know about them?
I know that we, humans, have ones that can go into space, through the air, through water, and very advanced ones that can go through solid matter. Now, there are also non-human ones. So this gets the crux. There's a whole section of this briefing document right here that goes through, here is a man-made one, here's a non-human one. And the differences, and Mr. Barber will confirm this, the technology has advanced so far in these operations that are being run unconstitutionally, the legacy aerospace and UFO programs, that it's very hard to distinguish a human one from a non-human one. This is dangerous. Why? Because people in the Pentagon that I have briefed who are not read into this, I mean, we're talking generals. The head of the Defense Intelligence Agency years ago had no information on this. The head of intelligence for the Joint Staff, go look up Admiral Tom Wilson. You know, I was there, and this whole scandal happened because after Edgar Mitchell died, the astronaut who I'd brought to this meeting, his notes about the meeting leaked. And there was this brouhaha about the fact that I did a stand-up briefing for Admiral Wilson, who was the head of intelligence Joint Staff. And if you look at the summary that was done by, I think it was Eric Davis, who is an operative also, an intelligence operative, debriefing Admiral Wilson after he left office, it confirms that this happened. But part of what's left out is that I had given a briefing like this by courier to the Admiral before I did the stand-up briefing in his offices. And I was there, my military advisor, and Eisenhower era Army whistleblower. And what happened? Now, this is like 1999. We're talking a long time ago. Mm-hmm. That I'd fly up from North Carolina and, from my being an emergency doctor and do this in my spare time. What a crazy life, man. But and he made inquiries. There were some code names on a document I had that's from the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, runs the super secret, and it's from Nellis Air Force Base. And it was a security alert because there were some civilians trying to spy on the range where they were testing these things. And based on that, he was able to identify some of the offices dealing with this. So he called one up. And he said, I'm Admiral Tom Wilson, J2, Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head of intelligence, Joint Chiefs of Staff. They said, oh, yes, sir, we know who you are. And he started drilling them on this issue. They said, sir, we can't tell you about this, talk to you about this. And they hung up on him. He subsequently got threatened personally and was threatened with being demoted, all right? Now, that's the kind of thing done to decorated senior officers at the Pentagon who are not read into this. But imagine how dangerous it is that there are people responsible for the security of the United States, from the president and Congress on down, who either have no information or false information. And what's about to come out is going to be 1 part fact, probably 9 parts fiction. Because the guy who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler on his deathbed said, Carol Rosin, who was his assistant at the time, is one of our whistleblowers, said that this is the reason this is going to be kept secret is at the right time they're going to disclose it, but they're going to try to present an alien threat from outer space to unite the world in sort of this totalitarian power grab, right? Where the whole world, like the movie Independence Day, comes together to fight the horrible aliens. Well, the only way you can do that is to have a propaganda machine that's been running for decades. That's why I tell people, you Google this subject, I say 90% of what, and people who are skeptical, like your friend here, I go, good for you. You should be skeptical. And here's why. Because I'd say...
It's very frustrating, but...
Yeah, but 90% of everything out here on this subject doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. I mean, so... And that in and of itself diminishes the credibility of the subject. Now, the other problem is when you tell the actual truth about the subject, you discredit yourself. I was warned by a CIA guy in 1991. He said, if you tell the whole story here, the truth, it will discredit you because it's more bizarre than the fiction they're selling to the public. And that is true. And I've never, had time with you to unpack all of that. But it's a insane amount of disinformation. But remember, if you have technologies like that, Pat, and you have the malicious intent to deceive the public or officials, you can do all kinds of skullduggery, and they have. Now, most people just take it at face value. Even these whistleblowers, they are tactical operators, right? I call them a tactical operator, helicopter, crash retrieval, whatever. They don't know what's going on the strategic level from at the top of that food chain, whether it be corporate or covert government programs. And the long game has always been to blend enough information with disinformation that the disinformation is believable, but then gaslight people that there's some threat out there. I'm going, oh yeah, I'll tell you who the threat is. It's humans. Humans are a threat not only to ourselves, we've become a threat out in space. So I have a totally opposite view of it, which most people are shocked by. Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm on Connect. If you'd like to ask me questions or learn more about the UFO UAP issue, contact me there, and we can unpack whatever you want to know about the disclosure efforts, about covert technologies, and what's going to be coming up in the next year or so as we go forward in a large disclosure on the extraterrestrial and UFO issue.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.